Welcome to Come Follow Me, 10 minutes at a time. Today, we discuss Lehi's very special GPS system. Hello, family and friends. We are discussing a couple of highlights from 1 Nephi chapters 16 to 22. The topics are here today on the left, and I have included a number of links under the Show More, so you can go deeper if you want. Hey, sorry, it looks like I'm having kind of a problem with my blue screen and my blue shirt. So I'll be back in a second. Oh yeah, this is better. Now, where were we? Okay, Lehi was wealthy. We know that Lehi was wealthy. Remember when his 4 sons went back to Jerusalem to get those brass plates from Laban? On their second attempt, they tried to purchase the plates from Laban, and apparently the gold, silver, and precious things that they offered to Laban was a lot. Why? Because Nephi said it this way: when Laban saw our property and that it was exceedingly great, he did lust after it. And Laban lusted it so much that he actually stole it and tried to kill him. So we know Lehi was wealthy enough to finance and organize a caravan expedition that could go into the wilderness. And it's very impressive that Lehi was well off, but he was still faithful enough to leave it all behind when the Lord told him to vamoose. Okay, next topic. The Frankincense Trail. So where exactly did Lehi lead his family after they left Jerusalem? The path they took is described in the Book of Mormon, and we know that they stopped at the Valley of Lemuel, which was next to the River of Laman, as Lehi called them. And I've included a link to Book of Mormon Central, where they discuss where the Valley of Lemuel might have actually been. Anyway, after some time in the Valley of Lemuel, the caravan headed southeast and followed the eastern coast of the Red Sea. This is actually a well-known ancient travel route, and it's sometimes called the Frankincense Trail. Along the way, they would have traveled actually not too far from what is now called Mecca. The city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia is where the prophet Muhammad would have been born about 1100 years after Lehi's time. And it is the most holy site in Islam. And nowadays, about 2 million people live near Mecca. And each year, hundreds of thousands of Muslims make their Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca. So I just found it intriguing to think that millions of people nowadays make a regular journey for their Hajj. And it's probably not that far from where Lehi's family took their own pilgrimage on the way to the New World. All right, our next topic, the Liahona, or the ball, or director. In 1 Nephi chapter 16, we see that Lehi steps out of his tent one morning, and boom, he finds a round ball of curious workmanship made of fine brass. Nephi says, within the ball were 2 spindles. One pointed the way that they should go in the wilderness. This is an amazing discovery. The Lord has provided Lehi and his family a divine GPS. And I wonder what was the second spindle for. It might simply have been a compass so that they would know where north was, so they would know their relative position. But who knows? Anyway, the Liahona was a special kind of GPS in the way that it worked. And here are a few things that we learn about it. In 1 Nephi chapter 16, verse 28, Nephi says, the pointers which were in the ball did work according to the faith and diligence and heed which we did give unto them. So the Liahona GPS only worked when the group was well behaved. The Liahona led them in the more fertile parts of the wilderness. When you think of fertile parts, you probably are thinking about water. And of course, finding water is mandatory. It's really do or die when you're in the desert. So that's great that the Liahona could help them find water. At one point, Nephi stated, I, Nephi, did go forth up to the top of the mountain according to the directions which were given upon the ball. And it came to pass that I did slay wild beasts, insomuch that I did obtain food for our families. So the Liahona even told them where to find food in addition to water. So maybe they downloaded the Food Finder app onto their Liahona. Anyway, the lesson from the Liahona is that the Lord will help us not just spiritually, but also temporally, such as in finding food or water to survive in a desert. But we have to show faith and diligence, and we have to heed the guidance once God gives it to us. All right, next thing, a city in Oklahoma. Before Nephi actually found that food that I just mentioned, he had actually broken his bow, a bow that was made of fine steel. So now Nephi was not able to hunt for food. This means that their group is going to die. Kind of like the Donner Party died in California in 1847, or the Robert Falcon Scott Party died in Antarctica in 1912. Really, your expedition ends when you all starve to death. So it's very serious that they couldn't get food, and you can certainly expect that people are going to freak out in a starvation situation. But what we learn here is how differently people react. Laman and Lemuel murmur, which is usual for them. That means they grumble, they whine, they complain, they criticize. And the threat of starvation was so real that even Lehi himself murmured. But we know that Nephi was a man of action, and he worked like it all depended on him, but he also had faith like it all depended on God. So in verse 23, Nephi says, I did make out of wood a bow and a straight stick an arrow. Wherefore I did arm myself with a bow and an arrow, with a sling and with stones. And I said unto my father, whither shall I go to obtain food? So Nephi, he just builds a new bow. That makes sense. But even more than that, Nephi also wants to get his dad back in the game. So he asks Lehi, where should he hunt? And Lehi repents of his own murmuring. And of course, the story has a happy ending when Nephi is led by the Liahona and he has a successful hunt. The moral of the broken bow incident is be more like Nephi and less like Laman and Lemuel. Okay, next topic. Nahum. In 1 Nephi chapter 16, we read that Ishmael died and was buried in the place which was called Nahum. The daughters of Ishmael did mourn exceedingly because of the loss of their father and because of their afflictions in the wilderness. Of course, the group's natural reaction to the death of Ishmael is they want to kill Nephi for some reason. Anyway, there is an ancient location discovered in modern-day Yemen that actually was used as a burial place since 600 BC, since the time of Lehi. Modern archaeologists say that the name of this place is spelled NHM. In other words, it's just the three consonants, no vowels. But NHM sure sounds a lot like Nahum to me. And it's in the right place, and it's from the correct time frame. Nahum is also where the Nephite party changes their direction, and now they begin heading straight east towards modern-day Dhofar in the country of Oman. But this whole incident of the death of Ishmael at Nahum, it looks like modern-day archaeology aligns well with the Book of Mormon travel narrative. All right, next topic, building a ship. Be sure to watch the shipbuilding episode in the Book of Mormon videos. The exact link of this video is below. And Nephi, as usual, is the persecuted hero, and his lazy, jealous brothers are not only annoying, but very dangerous. So watch the video. Okay, so to conclude for this week, I am really enjoying this adventure of Lehi's family a lot, and I hope that you are too. It reminds me of one time when I went on a 10-day backpacking trip with 3 of my teenage sons. And once in a while, for effect, I would refer to the two whiny sons as Laman and Lemuel. I would actually call them that. And the son who was obedient at the time and seemed to have a good attitude, I would call him Nephi. And my boys understood this analogy. Kids don't always know when they are being a Laman. Sometimes you just need to tell them, you're being a Laman right now, and I need you to be a Nephi. And often that will straighten them right up. Okay, so thanks for joining me. Please share the video if you like it. I'd love to have your friends watching it too. And I'll see you next time.